It's locked, all right. It's locked. So Harriet Jones became the original carrier when Edgar gave her vampire blood. I must tell Elizabeth.
This one's mine! Go back to the shadow! Watch out, boys! Crush this beast! Time for me! Away with you! Oh my God!
What good fortune brings you back to me, Jonathan? What is it, my dear?
I'm afraid it's bad news, Elizabeth. The worst, actually.
Please, speak up.
Edgar is no longer in McCullum's grasp. I resolved that matter.
Where is our good friend now? Is he well?
Of a sort. His injuries were mortal. I had no choice but to make him one of us. To save him. Or to punish him.
To punish him? I fail to understand. And what is the source of this cold tone in your voice?
Edgar Swansea was responsible for the Skull epidemic, Elizabeth. It was he who unleashed the deadly scourge upon London.
What? Are you certain? This is the most terrible accusation of all.
He confessed everything to me. He sought to cure the disease, to exploit vampire blood to stop the epidemic. But he unwittingly gave birth to a catastrophe.
All those poor victims. How could he do it? What happened?
Edgar gave no heed to ethics. His theory could have been proven to be correct, but he abused the confidence of his patients to test it.
I must say I'm shocked, Jonathan. Who would have thought it? And the poor patient. Let me guess. It was Harriet Jones, was it not?
Yes. That explains how Doris Fletcher was infected, and how she became an Icor. She secretly visited her mother at Pembroke.
Then we have no choice. We must act quickly, Jonathan. We must return to the sewers and put an end to the threat poor Harriet embodies.
I have one more matter to discuss with you. Harriet Jones was the primary case, but do you know what a healthy carrier is?
There is a tone in your voice that frightens me, Jonathan. What are you trying to say?
It was your blood Edgar used for his experiment on Harriet Jones.
What? No. No. This can't be. Oh.
Elizabeth, are you all right?
No, I have to go.
What do you mean?
Leave me alone. Save the city, Jonathan. Save what can be saved.
Elizabeth, I need answers. Why did your blood
Stay
cause
away
this?
from me. Please. I swear I never was your
Wait!
enemy.
No! Elizabeth! Now would be a good time to blend the recipe Marshall used when he fought the disaster. I think I know where to find what I need.
Better go home, sir. Want some of this? place for you, sir.
It's locked, all right. Good evening, Miss Ashbury.
And good evening to you, Dr. Reed.
What is your opinion of Aloysius Dawson?
I'm sure you did what you had to without him suffering more than he deserved. I'm not sure I'd have been so merciful.
Why do you still hope to become a vampire, in spite of your mother's refusal?
It's the immortal aspect of vampires that interests me. The world won't improve unless women take charge. I'm convinced of that.
You're obviously a clever woman. With a good education and a brilliant future. But have you thought about the price you'd have to pay? The loneliness, the necessary masquerade.
Is it not true of every high position? To change this world and make it a better place, one needs time on one's side.
Your mother has refused to turn you into a vampire. Tell me more about it.
Each time we argue, Mother expresses the same fear. She wants me to remain alive and full of joy, rather than become melancholy and immortal. She claims you can't have one without the other. It's pure selfishness.
Your mother has walked this earth for much longer than you or I. She is wise, and we should not ignore her advice when we disagree with it.
But why shouldn't I be allowed to forge my own experience? There can't be only one righteous way to deal with eternity.
It's your mother's choice. As daughters and sons, we have to accept the decisions our parents make for us despite our own wishes.
I love my mother, and have accepted everything from her. Even that she named me Charlotte, when it was not my original name.
Does it bother you?
No. Whoever I was when I was born, I am now Charlotte Ashbury. It hurts as much as it makes me proud to know that's the name my mother will read on my tombstone.
Tell me, Charlotte, how do you plan to achieve eternal life, since you've obviously given it a lot of thought?
I won't give up. You have no idea how determined I am, sir. I may contract a deadly disease. I may throw myself under a carriage, just to be saved by her sweet kiss.
That's a disturbing answer, young lady. And the worst part of it is, I know you speak the truth.
There are less dangerous ways, Doctor. Instead of throwing myself under a horse like Emily Davison, I could just throw myself into your arms.
Stop playing this game at once, Charlotte. This is unworthy of you, of your mother, and of myself.
I'm sorry, Dr. Reed. Please forgive me. That was stupid.
Do you need my medical attention, Charlotte?
Indeed. Unlike you and my mother, I can still become ill.
Oh, you cannot imagine how relieved I'd be to catch a cold again.
My mother once told me the same thing. I sometimes wonder if she's forgotten what it feels like to be ill.
Goodbye, Charlotte. Give my best regards to your mother when you see her.
She's been quite busy these last few nights. I suspect you may see her before me.
Whose blood could be purer than that of William Marshall? Good evening, Miss Teasdale. How have you been since you returned home?
Dr. Reed. Oh, thank God you returned safely from these awful streets. I was so worried about my father that I left without thanking you properly.
Please don't mention it, miss.
Good. I found him, you know. My dad. Or what was left of him. I think my abductor intended to do the same thing to me.
What can you tell me about Aloysius Dawson?
Never heard of him.
Really? He's very well known in London. Throughout the country, even.
He a big shot or something. Never interested in politics myself. All words and no action.
What do you do for a living, Miss Teasdale?
Before my kidnapping, I was a waitress in a pub. Now I'm unemployed.
Were you fired?
No, It's just that after my recent experience, I don't feel like I can go back to my normal life. I need to do something useful.
What do you intend to do?
Dad always told me, Louise, if you want something, don't stop until you have it. I did my research and I found it. Ichabod Throgmorton, professional vampire hunter. I'll be his apprentice.
Be very careful, Miss Teasdale. You were lucky to escape death once, but vampires lurk everywhere.
You killed my kidnapper by yourself, didn't you? No offense, Doctor, but you're just a doctor. I don't see why I couldn't do the same.
What can you tell me about this area?
I've never really liked this part of town. It was where my father wanted to live. I won't remain here much longer.
What exactly don't you like about it?
People here are contemptuous and elitist. My dad always said, Louise, always treat people like you want them to treat you.
Why did your father feel guilty? He seemed so eager to welcome you back, as though he'd done something wrong.
Last time we saw each other, we had a terrible argument. I left the house and ended up in a pub. That's where the vampire met me. Dead drunk.
I see.
We argued a lot, me and Dad. But I always came home. I'm sure that's why he went to find me. He knew something bad had happened.
Your father wanted proof that you were dead, or alive. He could not rest until he knew.
Yeah, that was my dad. Tough bastard, just like me. Even if I'd broken his leg, he would have gone looking for me.
What do you mean?
That last argument we had, it was more of a fight, actually. He slapped me and I kicked him hard in the balls.
You seem to cherish your father a great deal.
Dad was the best. He kept an eye on me, but let me make my own mistakes. Louise used to say, mistakes are the best teacher. You would have liked him.
I'm sorry you didn't have the opportunity to say goodbye.
That's all right. He's buried in consecrated ground now. Nothing bad can happen to him.
Louise, what can you tell me about the vampire who captured you?
The little fucker claimed he'd fallen in love with me. That he wanted to spend eternity with me. Not a bad idea. At least that's the way it seemed at first.
Really? Did you consider accepting his proposal?
Well, immortality. Not a common wedding gift, is it? I think he just wanted to have his way with me. Can vampires even fuck, Doctor?
What? Well, I really can't answer that. Well, since they are creatures of blood, physically speaking, I suppose an erection is possible, but
Don't be embarrassed, Dr. Reed. I was just asking.
Do you need my medical attention, miss?
I don't need your help specifically. I can assure you there are many competent doctors around.
I have no doubt about it, but I'm offering you my help anyway.
All right then. But please leave me alone for now.
Goodbye, Miss Teasdale, and be careful. Until we meet again.
It's always been your house,
Any
Dad.
strangers come into your house?
Women die too in this war! Support the equality between men and women!
Good evening, sir. Please forgive me for disturbing you. I'm a doctor.
I never judge a man by his title, but by his attitude. And you are not disturbing me at all. I am Calhoun Russell, and I welcome you.
Well, I must admit, it's good to receive a warm welcome for once. I'm Jonathan Reed.
Welcome, Dr. Reed. Welcome to my humble shop.
How is the situation in this part of town?
Life is good and peaceful. We're lucky to live in such an era of progress and wonders.
Are you not concerned about the epidemic?
Oh, I'm sure the authorities would take the appropriate measure if the danger were that high.
You cannot expect the newspapers to expose the truth while the war is still raging. I can assure you that the situation here is desperate.
Well, that's news then. But I can't believe that things are that bad. Are you sure you're not exaggerating a bit? For the thrill of it?
Is it not a little too late to be trading?
On the contrary, it is the perfect hour. Believe me, my friend, it is always at night that you meet the most fascinating characters.
But what about the epidemic? The bombs and raids? And all the random violence?
Please, sir, this is London, England. We will prevail. And if a bomb must fall on my shop, then I'll be there to hear it falling.
So you prefer to work at night?
Oh, I also enjoy a sunny day like everybody else. But the night always has a certain je ne sais quoi of its own.
What can you tell me about this place?
I recently found the best steak and kidney pie in the city. I'd be glad to share the address if you want.
I must confess, I have quite specific tastes when it comes to nutrition.
Really? Well, I'm always happy to try new exotic meals. If you ever find an intriguing table, please share the address.
Finding a good restaurant? Is that really all that interests you?
Oh, I have many passions, but nothing brings me ecstasy like subtle and exquisite flavors from my teeth to my belly.
Have you any news on Aloysius Dawson?
I will never see him again in my shop, it seems. I did not realize how much his health had deteriorated. In the end, not even money can protect you from death.
Do you have any family nearby?
Not since my parents died. I'm London's lone gourmet.
Really? But you seem to be such a pleasant and sociable fellow.
I'm afraid the real hedonist has to be sometimes. I discovered ecstasy as a solitary pleasure, but it does not mean it can't ever be shared.
London's lone gourmet. What a strange title.
I used that name in my early years when I was a food critic, and I kept it.
I may have a look at your goods, Mr. Russell.